Hello everyone, welcome back to the Breaking Keyfabe channel, and this is actually the third time you're seeing me today. The first being, kind of just explaining where I've been. The second being the SmackDown Rebound, and this one being the 205 Live Deep Dive. And we're going to talk about everything that happened on this week's 205 Live. Was it eventful? Was it not? I'm going to let you know. It was the former. With that being said, we're going to jump right on in. We're going to dive on in. For the American Dad Vids. We're going to jump right into this. Hold our noses, get our scuba gear ready. This is the 205 Live Deep Dive. It starts with a recap from last week's debut NXT Live on USA Network, where Lio Rush, a returning Lio Rush, defeated Oney Lorcan to become the number one contender for the Cruiserweight Championship. And I am so happy that Lio Rush is back to wrestling and back to just TV in general. I always loved Lio Rush in the ring. He makes, me feel better about my size and things that I'd be able to do. And he's good on the mic. He's just really good at what he does, so I'm really happy to see Lio back. Cuts to Drew Gulak, who says that Lio Rush is nothing but another ghost from his past, and there is nothing that he can do that Gulak won't be expecting. He also hypes up his match tonight with Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan, saying that Oney Lorcan could have surprised them with any partner, but of course he picked his old running mate, Danny Burch. So, we're going to see where that goes. We got to the Singh brothers hyping up the other match tonight, which is Humberto Carrillo versus his cousin, Angel Garza. And they just said how it's terrible that fame and spotlight can tear family apart, but it will never tear them apart. And they're almost ready to come back from injury, and once they do, it'll be lights, camera, and Bollywood action. We get into our first match, which is, as just said, Humberto Carrillo versus Angel Garza, and like I said, they are cousins. Commentary puts over that they are cousins. If you didn't know, they are cousins. And this match stemmed from Humberto Carrillo wishing his cousin Angel Garza, cousins, a happy birthday on Twitter. And his response was, how about we have a match? They're trying to put over that maybe Garza is jealous that Carrillo is having all the success, as opposed to maybe Humberto should have just called his cousin instead of posting it on Twitter. I don't know. Social media does that a lot nowadays, so it kind of depends on your family dynamic, I guess. The match does start out kind of slow, with a lot of feeling out, which I really didn't expect, considering they're cousins. You'd expect them to, just go. But it does pick up. There are a bunch of beautiful spots, beautiful chains, that just lead to one where Carrillo stands up tall, and then there's another one where Garza stands up tall. And it looks very fluid, very nice, and it really gets me excited for what this match can be. Garza does keep control for most of the match, and he's really good at selling his arrogance and his cockiness and his confidence. And it shows that he is a very, very talented man, but this match didn't go in the direction that I wanted it to. It really kind of slowed down with him doing a lot more, rest holds, but I get it. If he's supposed to be the heel, it makes sense, but it's still not what I expected from this match. Carrillo does start his comeback hitting a bunch of high-flying moves, whereas Garza tries to cut him down at every chance, and sometimes he does, and then after that, this match becomes a whole bunch of near falls, and this is where it does start to get fun. Unfortunately, just as it starts to feel fun, the match does end with Garza rushing into the corner and Carrillo moving. He hits his shoulder on the post, and Garza falls in position for the Aztec press from Carrillo. 1, 2, 3, Carrillo picks up the win. Like I said, the match just started to pick up for me and become fun. Once again, as I said in the SmackDown video, it's still the San Fran crowd, and they just are terrible, so they're even worse for 205 Live. And it just, once again, it didn't feel like it picked up. This whole show felt like it didn't pick up. It was kind of like reminiscent of what I said about SmackDown. It just didn't, it never hit anything. And this had the potential to hit it, but for me, it personally just didn't. Also, this is the second time in a row that I've noticed Carrillo going for the Aztec press and not hitting it, perfectly. Come on, dude. This is your thing. Like with Io Shirai with their moonsault, I was always like, you're always a little too far, a little too close. You never just hit it there. And that's what I need from you guys. I like you a lot, Carrillo. Don't make me not like you. Really quick backstage interview with Brian Kendrick asking him why he turned on his friend Akira Tozawa and why he beat Jack Gallagher with a kendo stick. And he says that there's an epidemic going on. There's an epidemic of everyone just forgetting the legends and the trendsetters, and that he is all the above. He just has to sit in the locker room like some newbie and earn his stripes, but he's already earned his stripes. He's already paid his dues. It's been 3 years since he's had a title shot, and he's sick of this epidemic that's spreading of legends being forgotten, as he said he is a legend. And the one person he trusted, the one person he considered his friend, Akira Tozawa, showed that he's been affected by that epidemic, and he had to do what he had to do to save himself. And that's really the only explanation that he has. I do like heel Brian Kendrick better than face Brian Kendrick. I've always been a fan of the Brian Kendrick, so hopefully this does go somewhere for him, and we'll see. We are already at our main event. This was a 2-match show. Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan 1-2 versus Drew Gulak and Tony Nese. And the match starts out with Danny Burch and Tony Nese, and much to my surprise, a lot more chain wrestling as opposed to the striking. I expected this to be a high-paced strike-based match when, everyone is in the ring except Drew Gulak as he has more holds. But there was a lot of chain wrestling. Not saying it was bad. It was good, and 1-2 held control for most of the match until Tony Nese finally, Drew Gulak was in the ring. I apologize. He was running with Drew Gulak. Tony Nese finally makes the distraction, and they get the upper hand, and they start working their stuff in the corner. Burch eventually slides out and gets the hot tag to Oney Lorcan. The chain wrestling is done. Lorcan is striking like a madman, and Nese rakes the eyes, and that slows everything back down again. They get control again, and the chain wrestling and the wrestles kind of continue. The heels keep the pressure until Lorcan ends up in the corner. He throws down Tony Nese. He cuts the rope down on Drew Gulak. He goes to make the hot tag, hits a big back body drop. Burch gets the hot tag. Burch comes in, and he starts running wild himself. Burch does tag Oney Lorcan back in rather quickly, setting up for their elevated spike DDT assist. I don't even know what it's really called, but the assisted elevated spike DDT. Though Tony Nese makes the save. Excuse me. I just keep burping in these videos today. What is wrong with me? I'm better than this. But Tony Nese does make the save. Although the heels end up in submission moves at the same time, and you wonder if they're going to have this spot where they both tap out. But Drew Gulak does manage to kick Oney Lorcan off of him, and he lands on Danny Burch and Tony Nese, breaking that situation up. Oney Lorcan does get taken out while Burch ends up being the legal man, and Burch does eat the 450 from Tony Nese. 1, 2, Burch kicks out. Tony Nese is very surprised, but the match does come to an end where they drop Drew Gulak out of the ring, and they hit their tag team move it's the one that like the Legion of Doom used to do, just with the European uppercut. 1, 2, Tony Nese kicks out. They finally hit that assisted spike DDT and get the 1, 2, 3. 1, 2 has pinned Danny Burch is part of 1, 2. 1, 2 has pinned Tony Nese and Drew Gulak. A lot of tag team matches this week. So many names. Ugh. But that's what this match was. It's the same thing that I said as before. Like, it kind of just never really picked up for me. Like, I was kind of waiting for it to switch into that second gear, and I feel like it never hit it. Once again, not to say it's a bad match. It also, like I said, could be the crowd, because the crowd was awful. But that was 205 Live this week. With all the rumors and speculation going around that 205 Live is going to be ending soon, I don't know if they would have Drew Gulak be the one to close out as Cruiserweight Champion and move that belt over to NXT, which I feel like is too many belts, or if they want to have Lio Rush do it, because I know Vince was high on Lio Rush. So we'll see where that goes. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been the 205 Live Deep Dive. I thank you for joining me with your snorkels and all your diving equipment, and we will see you, hopefully, if 205 Live doesn't get canceled sooner than later, next week for another 205 Live Deep Dive.